official. Can I have a copy of the agenda? If I make minutes.
This is the council.
Well, that,
Did you need an extra copy, Nate? I printed
I'm
one.
sure there's one back here. Yep, we got it.
Okay. Well, 6 o'clock.
yep. Mr. Chairman, if you want to go ahead and call it to order and get approval on the agenda, please.
All right, call the meeting to order. Approval on the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any additions that we want to add?
No.
No. All right.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, just a review. It has been some time since this board met. I had to watch the video and go back to our notes from 2021 to remember what our organization was and what the hearing procedure was that you adopted at the time. So the hearing procedure you adopted at the time was 30 minutes for the appellant argument, 30 minutes for the city's arguments, any interested person up to 10 minutes, appellant rebuttal, 10 minutes, and then board discussion and action. When it comes down to action, the Property Maintenance Board of Appeals does have limitations on its authority under the Property Maintenance Code, under section 107.2. So the appeal needs to be based on a claim that the true intent of the code or the rules adopted were incorrectly interpreted, or that the code doesn't fully apply to it, or that there's an equivalent or better form of construction proposed. The board shall not have the authority to waive the requirements of the Property Maintenance Code, but can decide on matters on whether it's been applied correctly or incorrectly, interpreted correctly, so on and so forth. So with that, we would open it up for the appellant's argument. And I'll just note the time at 6:01. And sure.
All right. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right, well, the first thing I want to bring up is you gave me a $75 ticket for having garbage on my trailer in my driveway. You gave me 14 days to re-side my garage, which I was a couple days late on because I'm doing most all that by myself. I got a ticket on the third trailer full of garbage that I had in my driveway. Now, if I remember right, anything that's on a trailer can't get a ticket for, because it's considered part of the trailer. So I'm wondering, why is it I get a $75 ticket? You got a guy right down here off Main Street just had garbage in his driveway and trailers for over 3.5 months. I had garbage on my trailer for a week and a half and I get a $75 ticket. I'd like to see where the justice is in that. Second thing I'd like to address is, I believe it was Kevin said that he noticed violations in my backyard. I'd like to know how he noticed these violations when I have a 6-foot privacy fence around my house because I have a swimming pool. And then I got letters, and it's stating that I have propane tanks in my backyard. And I can't have anything outside that doesn't belong outside. I believe propane tanks do belong outside, but that's besides the point. But anyway, you can't see anything in my backyard from the road. So I'd like to know where you justify giving me tickets when you can't see anything from the road. And if you want to say you got a drone flying around, I never received a warrant for that. And according to the South Dakota statutes, that you do have to have a warrant unless you're FAA or law enforcement in search and rescue. And I have it on my phone if you'd like to see it.
So if I hear you right, you're arguing the $75 fine on the junk on trailer?
Yes.
What about the junkyard ordinance about having any lot, land, or parcel position in terms of storage of wrecked, dismantled, salvage, or collection or process, purchase, sale, or exchange of abandoned and discarded vehicles on your property?
I don't have any discarded vehicles on my property.
Any abandoned or don't work run?
I got a couple that I'm restoring. I got brand new motors in my shop that I've been building here for the last year, I suppose.
You haven't, like, how many?
Doesn't matter.
Well, it's gonna matter per the ordinance. Or where their parks are located. I'm not saying this is subjective, I'm just looking at what the ordinance states.
I'm just saying that according to the Fourth Amendment and the state statute says you can't violate my rights, and it says you gotta be able to see it from the street. You can't see anything in my backyard from the street. So you're sitting there saying I got garbage and refrigerators and propane tanks. You can't see it from the street. And I got rid of the fucking wood. I put it on the car trailer and then I get a ticket for bringing the stuff out of my backyard.
Was that what that ticket was for? Anyone know?
First ticket was for the junk in the front yard, and then the tickets after that were for the vehicles in the backyard. Did not ticket for anything else in the backyard besides the vehicles.
The vehicles in the backyard are not parked on the hard surface or anything like that as per the ordinance, right?
Don't appear to be.
Are they on a hard surface?
Can't see it from the street.
Well, that's not what I'm asking you. Are they on hard surface?
Not right now, no.
We aware of any complaints about the property?
Just the one.
Okay.
Was that for the backyard stuff or the front yard or
Front.
front?
Gotcha.
Did you just, I'm just asking because I don't know, the letter sent to you on September 18, just ignore it?
No. Like I said, I took 3 trailers of the wood and everything else. I got that all out of them. And when I first started, I had cars parked over on the other side, but then I moved all them back. Other than that, you can't see nothing in my backyard from the street.
I don't think it's necessarily, the ordinance isn't necessarily addressing whether there's a visual nuisance or anything like that. I know years ago on the south part of town, you could have driven by a house, I think it was on Garfield maybe, that from the street there was no problems, but in the backyard and in the garage there was trash, maybe not all the things that was being talked about here, but it was causing unseen living conditions for the neighbors. There was vermin, those type of things living under there. I'm not saying I haven't been in your backyard, I'm not saying that you've got rats running around there, but that's a reason for the ordinance. It's not a matter whether or not I can see them driving down the road. It's for the health, safety, and welfare of not only your residents, but the properties adjoining it and in the neighborhood. So.
Mr. Chairman, if that concludes the appellant's arguments, are you finished?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Then I would ask Kyle to begin the city's argument.
So a lot of the information is included in the background of the memo. Courtesy letter was sent on the 18th of September for the junk in the front yard. There's a green pickup in there, parked on grass. Didn't notice too much of an improvement. And so then the October 28th, 2024, letter was sent, was a $75 fine for the junk. Followed up on December 4th, and pictures that I legally took. I noted there was an additional 3 more vehicles in the back from what I noticed prior, so brought it up to 6. And, I mean, the junk and stuff in the backyard can be interpreted either way. That's why I didn't find that.
So you
the
find
vehicles-
just the vehicles?
And not parking either.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
And say that again.
we didn't find for parking on grass.
On grass. It was just the vehicle, it wasn't trash in the
Yeah.
backyard, is what you were saying, right? Okay.
So there's any questions?
Just to summarize the violations, this is by no means exhaustive, there are other violations back there. But this was meant to get at the most serious of them, unsightly trash or junk in the yard, municipal ordinance and ITMC. Illegally parked vehicles in violation of zoning ordinances, operating a junkyard in violation of zoning ordinances, and then municipal ordinance on abandoned or off-road vehicles.
Anything to add to that, Jeff?
I will say that the cars that I do have are not junk, they're all being restored. I have brand new motors, I got a couple of them, I got over 10 grand in them. They're getting fixed up.
Do you sell them?
I've sold a couple in the past, but I keep most of them. It's not a business or nothing, it's just my own passion.
So that this first picture here, when do we know approximate date on that? That was early.
If that's a satellite picture, half them cars have been sold, a couple of them went to a junkyard, they're not even the same vehicles.
If it's from parcel browser, it was probably 24 imagery.
It said 24, I didn't find the exact date.
Okay, that's fine. I was just, for my own.
We usually just pull that for a
A
record,
reference.
yeah, of what property we're talking about, 'cause it's got the streets and everything on it.
Yeah, and I only use the GIS for getting property owners' information.
Sure.
Because I don't know who lives where.
Right.
So when you click on each individual address, it pops up the parcel number and all that, so that's where I get all that from.
And the deeded people on that parcel, okay.
So per the regulation of issuing fines, in terms of breaking an ordinance, that just, there's documents saying, oh, it's like, it could be $75 a vehicle, like that's,
Correct, yeah, we have passed a resolution every year that establishes fines and fees for a variety of purposes, whether it's police, zoning, dog licenses, water and sewer rates, those kinds of things. And that's where the fine is established for these violations.
and you're saying it, you know, so the total of 525 in fines, you're saying it could be higher.
Much. Zoning violations alone are $500 a day.
500. 500 a day?
Yes. No, that's not something that we typically
You don't
use.
want to exercise
Right,
that if you don't
right.
have to.
Because it is pretty extreme, but
And that can be set by city council.
It is set by city council.
Those fines.
The fine isn't, that's actually established by ordinance.
Okay,
So how zoning ordinances establish that as it's a second-class misdemeanor. So it's actually a criminal violation with a $500 fine each day.
thoughts, other thoughts?
So like going forward, the only remedy for this is to A, move cars or put them on a hard surface?
Correct.
And hard surface constitutes,
Poured asphalt, poured concrete.
Altered concrete.
But it also has to have a driveway.
Right.
So putting this in the backyard wouldn't be
I have an accessible driveway, I got a garage door at both ends of my garage.
That addresses the cars, though. That doesn't address,
yes.
The other
Other than
concerns.
that, I know we've got to go back to our zoning code and figure out what percentage of the property can be paid. You can't just pay
yeah, it's,
everything. I can't remember. what
I knew it
percentage.
at one time too, but it's a limited percentage. You can't pave
Correct.
3/4 of your backyard.
I was gonna put, the crushed concrete back there for hard surface in there, and then it got cold on me, and
And crushed concrete would not be an approved surface for,
why not, it's concrete.
the ordinance says it has to be either.
The ordinance says no gravel. It has to be millings, asphalt, or approved hard surface material or concrete.
I'm sorry, sir, it says poured concrete or asphalt.
I said it exactly the way it was written on the letter that I was given. It said millings, asphalt,
In commercial, correct?
or approved
Industrial.
materials, which is crushed concrete.
All required parking spaces and access drives shall be hard surface with concrete, asphalt, pavers, or other durable material not including loose stone or gravel.
Correct.
That's for residential.
Correct. Yeah, I think the only exception was.
Light and heavy industrial, you're allowed to
Light
use
industrial.
milled asphalt and gravel.
so like what constitutes a paver?
Like a concrete pavers, either like a
Patio
paver,
pavers.
yeah, patio pavers, you know, those 12 by 12 pavers.
I'll put crushed concrete in there next week.
Well,
Well, that's, unfortunately, that's not allowed in residential the way it sounds for the ordinance. That's written for residential.
You're saying exactly opposite of what that he just read off in that letter.
No, sir, he said it's not approved use. Could you read that again, please?
All required parking spaces and access drives thereto shall be hard surfaced with concrete, asphalt, pavers, or other durable material not including loose stone or gravel. In light industrial, heavy industrial districts, a gravel surface may be used for portions of the site that are intended for the storage of construction equipment or supplies. And milled asphalt may be used for parking and driving surfaces, not including the approach.
Okay, then I'll use asphalt then.
Is there, how do you come about these vehicles?
How do I come about them? Cash.
Well, I mean, is there a way you can just get one, work on one, get another one, work on one, or you just,
Oh, I have cars in my garage that I'm already
Yeah.
in the middle of doing,
right,
and if I come across an old car at a decent price, like my '69 Chevelle I bought for $40, I ain't passing that out.
is there a place you can store it that would not violate an ordinance? I mean, I know it
Well,
goes
if
through,
I go out and buy storage
Storage unit.
units for $100 a month, yeah.
I'm just trying to come up with,
Oh, believe me, I've already looked for land outside of Lennox to buy and store them at.
sure. Any luck with that,
Not yet.
or the price you want? Price you want?
move forward?
Well, again, the role of the board is to determine whether or not the application of the ordinance has been true and correct under the meaning, or whether it's been applied correctly, or so on and so forth. And then, based on whatever decision the board makes, then the code official has to take action in accordance with that decision.
So like given a time frame to remediate the problem or bring in whatever?
I don't think we can decide that, we can just interpret whether that's my understanding, we can just interpret whether
Okay.
the citations have followed the ordinance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Correct.
I guess given, if I'm understanding that right, and given that, I mean, based on the photos and the definition of the ordinance, if I'm reading these right, I mean, just the vehicles alone constitute violation of that ordinance.
Coming back to, them photos there, they're not taken from the street.
They don't have to be.
I don't,
According to the South Dakota state law, it does, and also the Fourth Amendment, it does.
They were taken legally, I had permission to take them.
They're taken what?
They were taken legally.
Well, yeah, they're taken legally, they're obviously out of the back window of my neighbor's house, I can see that.
Which is legal.
Not when it says, if you can see it from the street.
What statute is that?
Excuse me?
What statute is that?
Actually, the statute I got in South Dakota state law, that's for, the droids. And that's section 934.50. And the other one is the Constitution says, if you got a 6-foot privacy fence, and you can't be seen from
So
the
there is
street.
not a state statute on,
What's that?
so there's not state statute language on whether you have to see it from the street? Is that accurate?
Actually, I didn't look that one up for the
Okay,
state
thank you.
statute, but this one here says that, if it's not violating the Fourth Amendment, then it's still in compliance.
what's Fourth Amendment?
Excuse me?
What's the Fourth Amendment?
Fourth Amendment, if I have a 6-foot privacy fence and you can't see it from the street, it's none of your business what I got in my backyard.
So if somebody's manufacturing meth or something like that,
They have another law on that, that is specified under certain special circumstances,
okay,
but it's all listed in there.
okay. Well, I'm not qualified to,
They also have a thermal thing there, if your house runs too hot, that you're
oh, sure.
apparently running a meth lab or something. So I never knew they could figure that out by thermal imaging, but.
Well, I'm not a Supreme Court justice or have a law degree behind my name, so I'm not gonna delve into that, but based on the ordinance, I would say that the city acted within their right. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think you hold with the current fines issued. I think it could be way worse. And how you want to move forward in terms of removing those vehicles or hard surfing those vehicles or a timeline on that. That's up to the either city council or whoever the ordinance person to do that.
Do I go to code enforcement and then the council? Is that how that works?
No, if it's gonna be, you continue to work with the code official to come into compliance is how that would happen. And obviously, this has been set for some time, this isn't something that's been
Right.
new. Just look back at, old imagery from 2020, and there were some of those vehicles still parked there then. So we're going to give.
Back then, I
we'll work
actually
with,
removed those vehicles, so.
We'll work with the property owner, as much much as we can, but we need to see progress, and we need to see a commitment to come into compliance with the actual ordinances.
Can I ask if there is no compliance, then what, how's that?
We'll go to remediation. We'll ask the court for the right to move in
Gotcha.
and remediate it at the
Remediate
property
the
owner's
problem.
cost.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. We do that probably 3 or 4 times a year. Where, property owner just decides, for whatever reason, they're not going to comply with that order. We go with it to the court, and the court grants us the authority to go in and remediate the problem to whatever extent we request under law, so.
And then the municipality recoups those costs from
It's
the
assessed,
property owner.
it's assessed against the property taxes, correct.
Okay.
So do we need to do a vote then on that this is done correctly, or?
That would be my recommendation,
Yeah.
a motion one way or another on whether to uphold or uphold the decision on the, really the fines is what's been appealed. So yeah, it would be a motion on whether to uphold or not uphold fines as applied in this case.
Then I'll make a motion to uphold the fine of $525.
Okay, you got a motion?
I would second that.
Need to vote then?
Yep.
Alright, vote.
Aye.
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 Alright, aye. Vote carries.
Mr. Chairman, I request a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Alright. We're out of here.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear everything that was going on there. What is the ruling here now?
To uphold the fines that were,
You're upholding the fines? Okay. Well, Larry told me to give him a call when we're done here, I guess I'll give him a call. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.